Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Linda Armstrong here. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, August the 3rd, 2018, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Your second daily dose of happy for the day. And sadly, the last one for the week, but we always have a good week. So on the one hand, it's sad to end the week because it's the end of the podcast for the week, except for the one weekend show. But on the other hand, the weekend is almost here. How bad can that be, right, Linda? I mean, when the weekend is here, everybody celebrates.
That's awesome.
So how you been? I mean, you kind of had a week to digest your first show from last week. What do you think?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. I'm actually going to post it on my YouTube. I was trying to get to that today.
Oh, good. Very good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to whatever's going to come up for today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's always different every time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking, I participate a lot in groups on Facebook about the law of attraction. And, you know, whenever you're dealing with a wide range of people with various degrees of understanding of the topic and so forth, you get all kinds of stuff. One of the things that you see a lot of is people posting things like, "Oh, I'm not feeling really good right now. Please send me some good vibes," or, you know, my boyfriend left me, or, you know, something terrible happened, or, you know, I'm feeling depressed, or all this stuff about I'm not in a good place. I want other people to cheer me up, which is basically just another way of saying there are a lot of people who don't really know how to build their own energy. And
yeah, and I want to just interject 1 minute. And what they don't realize is they are giving their power away.
This is true. Yeah. Yes. They don't realize it. I mean, it's not like they're doing it deliberately.
No, they're looking outside of themselves for what they already have within.
Right. Because most people don't know that.
Yeah.
So our task here today, our mission, should we accept it, is to help people understand, well, here are some strategies that you can engage in order to build your energy when you're not feeling particularly energetic.
Right. But you know what? That is actually the first step to realize where your vibration is and that you actually do feel down.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, I know that was a hard one for me early on, was even recognizing that I needed to do something. Because a lot of the time we're just kind of used to default behavior, I think most of us, you know?
Right.
And when you're in that default space, you don't even think about it. You know, how happy do I feel? I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've experienced then firsthand, actually starting to look at where you're vibrating at, or like what you're feeling, or what your average, you know, like from 1 to 10, where you are in that scale every day, you know?
Well, my first task was actually to understand what they meant by vibrating. Because, I mean, it's like, I'm not vibrating.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not that nervous. Really, I'm not.
But you can just say mood. You know, what's your mood like on the scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah. Well, when I found out that vibration equaled emotion, then I said, oh, well, why didn't they just say that? How do you feel?
Right.
I understand that phrase.
Right.
So you're right. I mean, that was the first thing to learn and to come to terms with. How do I feel? And can I take like a measurement? Can I kind of take my temperature, so to speak, where my emotion is concerned? And it takes a little time to practice getting used to that. But I think you can pick it up pretty quickly. It's just you have to kind of apply yourself and say, oh, right now I feel like so. You know, yesterday I felt a little bit lower. Today I feel a little bit higher. You kind of get used to messing around with a scale, so to speak. Especially if you're not used to doing it, you have to kind of, you know, acclimate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a bunch of things that will happen that can and very easily does lower your energy, your mood, your vibration. Mm-hmm. And it's once you're aware of like these triggers, things that affect you in a certain way, and you start to notice it as it's happening before it gets too far gone. Because, you know, that subconscious mind will kick in and take a little story and make it into a big, huge thing to where it feels so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, if you caught it in the beginning, it maybe wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And we're really good at building stuff way out of proportion. I mean, there are a lot more drama queens out there than people realize.
Yeah. Well, people are kind of addicted to drama, unfortunately.
Right.
And you really want to get away from that, because especially when it's someone else's drama. Like, why do you want to get sucked into that? It's not even your own story.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I said drama queens. There are plenty of drama kings, too. So I want to make sure I'm covering both sides of the gender spectrum.
Yeah. It's another addiction, really, the drama, getting sucked into gossip and all that nattering, that's really not serving you in any way. And you really just want to run away from it when it starts, shift the subject. So you with a bunch of friends and they're, because once you start raising your own vibration, you start to realize how much of this lower vibe is out there. You don't really want to really participate in it. And you also don't want to be rude because other people haven't awakened to what you're realizing right now. But you can find ways to shift the conversation so you don't have to get sucked into it with them,
Well, I remember when I first became aware of, okay, I have to start paying attention to my emotions, certainly a lot easier than trying to track my thoughts. But even that seemed kind of overwhelming because I became aware really quickly just how much negativity there was in the world. And I was not particularly feeling strong at that point at all. I was feeling powerless in terms of being able to. I honestly didn't think anybody could move their emotional set point. Believe it or not, I really didn't think that was possible. The first day that I did it, it was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Well, you know what, Walt? That's your gift. That's a blessing for you because from being where you were, you can with such authority explain how that can shift.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly explain it to myself. I mean, that was the hardest part. I think I was my harshest critic. I'm the one who believed it the least for myself.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have this radio show today if it weren't for that.
Well, that's true. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's my point, Sometimes we look at these things that happen to us as like something bad, but when you can actually find, that's like one of the tips I'll give when I talk about, enhancing your vibration is, look for the gift in it. Like, what is this horrible thing helping you to realize either about yourself or to point you in what direction, which is going to take you further in your life and on your path.
And what do you do with that? Well, let's say you're able to identify it. So let's break it down to the really basic level. You've identified it. What do you do with that information?
You allow yourself to use that as your stepping off place. You know what I mean? I forget how Abraham actually puts those words, bouncing off place. Do you remember?
I don't know. I really don't.
That's where you can, that's like the awakening. That's when you realize, well, I was there and I don't want to be there but what this is showing me, this like negative thing or whatever this is that's making me feel so bad is actually pointing to me what I would prefer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But when you can then shift your focus to, well, what would I rather be? How would I rather feel? And what can I do to create that in my life? Well, now you shifted the whole thing. You're no longer going to go down and get sunk deeper and deeper and deeper. And some people can shift it fast and some people can't. But the point is that any little shift is a shift in the right direction. And it gets, of course, there's law of attraction. It gets easier and easier the more you do it.
That's true. Right.
Yeah.
It's like any habit, really. When you establish a new habit, at first, it's kind of clumsy and it doesn't feel terribly comfortable and so forth. But as you keep doing it over and over again, it starts becoming more familiar. I mean, for me, I remember the first time that I developed a habit, it was when I was learning to play piano as a young child. And, at first pressing those keys felt awkward. It was painful. It was not comfortable. And then after a couple of weeks, it was like, oh, well, this is easy. I know how to do this. I've been doing this for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Suddenly I was an expert.
Well, yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, pretty much.
So if you catch yourself in that place and you don't know what to do with it because you haven't maybe woken up to all of this, or maybe you heard some people talking about how you can change your energy or, find a positive way of looking at life or whatever, however you come into this whole world of law of attraction energy and raising your vibration, what you can do is start noticing the thoughts or the things that are like a common thread that go through whatever this experience is. Because there'll be beliefs there and there'll be conditioned thoughts and patterns that you've picked up, like maybe from your parents, right? You're just repeating some pattern that was the energy that was around you as you were growing up. And so you own it now, right? But you don't have to own it.
That's true. You can let go.
When you start looking at that kind of stuff from a more conscious level, because, it's like the emotion brings it up to the surface. So you can, if you're lucky, see it and look at it and allow it to dissipate, decide you're going to go somewhere else with it.
Very true.
Am I going off on a tangent here?
Oh, don't worry about it. We go off on tangents all the time.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think we've ever had a show that we would consider successful that didn't go off on a tangent. So we're right on track. Right. Don't worry.
All right, good. Because I think what I was kind of leading to there is, so when you catch yourself in this vibe, and so maybe it's maybe you're feeling like maybe you're trying to build a relationship, you're looking for romantic love, and it just never works out, and like you're getting, so you have those thoughts come in your mind of like, there's no good guys out there's no good women out there, like all this stuff.
Right.
That's just all beliefs and conditioned thoughts that you've totally picked up, even if you've experienced it. But you got to look at, why am I experiencing this? Because I'm holding this pattern within my energy system, because of everything is energy, and whatever energy you send out, you will receive back. So when you can kind of understand that, and there's people like you and I who can help people to understand that, then you can look at these things, and they can then be brought up and flipped to something you would prefer. Sometimes even realizing, oh my God, I'm living out what my mom experienced, or I'm living out my sister's life, or I didn't even know I was doing this.
Well, that's just it. I mean, there are so many times that we do these things without realizing that we're doing it. I did it. I mean, you mentioned relationships and failure to develop a successful long-term relationship. That was me throughout my entire 20s and 30s. Not one single successful long-term relationship. And I didn't even realize what the main thing was that I was doing until after I met Louise. We got married, and we've been together for 20 years now. But during that period of time after we got married, it finally occurred to me, back in the day, I was expecting every relationship to fail.
Right.
I didn't really consciously do that. It was just the expectation was there. And so every time that I met somebody, it was always find something that doesn't work with it, something that isn't right. And sure enough, it wouldn't work.
Right. Yep.
Talk about sabotage, right? Ugh.
Totally. But, one thing I like to do is, or I like to teach people to do is, when you realize you have these thoughts that come up and they're not supporting you, you can just say, even out loud, cancel that. I'm not holding that thought in my psyche. I'm getting rid of that one, and then flip it to something else you would prefer. Yeah,
that's also the other thing that took me a while to learn, that you really can let go of it just by saying, I let go of it. The first time I heard that idea, I said, well, that's crazy. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? Why would you just saying it get rid of it? But it does. It does.
Well, it absolutely can in an instant, but not everybody can actually go there. And sometimes it does take a little bit more work. But the big part of it is just the acknowledgement that thought is not serving you blows a big hole in it.
It does.
Blows a big chunk in that energy. So you won't so easily hold it. It'll come up again, and you'll be like, wait a minute, that's that thought that I decided I'm not going to hold anymore. And then you just, you can yourself work to create a new one, or you can go to people like me who can help you do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, and let's also talk for a moment about what energy is, because we use the word in a variety of different ways in the English language. For instance, there's electrical energy. That's one kind of energy. There's the energy to get up in the morning. That's sort of another kind of energy for sure. There's what they often call spiritual energy. That's another kind of energy. I mean, they all have some overlaps to them, but there are different ways that people understand energy. When we're talking about this kind of energy, from your perspective, what are we talking about? What does it mean to say energy?
Okay, so from my perspective at this point, all of it. All the same stuff, right? It's all the same. There's you can try to compartmentalize it, but ultimately it's your body is vibrating to a frequency, and you can feel that frequency change by your mood, right? So it doesn't matter what caused it or what definition you want to put into why you're in that whatever lower vibe place you want to. Doesn't matter what you call it. To me, it's all the same stuff. It's all energy. Everything's energy. Everything's little bouncing around particles. Yeah. Okay.
It's always fun trying to define stuff, because we play with these topics all the time, and we just kind of assume, oh yeah, we know what we're talking about. But when we try to approach it from like a rational, logical approach, all of a sudden the words don't seem to work right anymore.
but it could just be the same thing. So you can say, you listed a few different ways that people might look at energy. Why are they different?
That's a good point, because ultimately anything that energizes is energy. And so if I am feeling low, well, that's obviously one form of energy, and it's an emotional energy. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
negative emotional energy, one that I don't particularly like. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling high, if I'm feeling great, if I'm feeling happy and joyful, that's another kind of energy. It's really the same energy, it's just different amounts of it, different
Right.
vibrational levels of it, and so forth. But
Right.
it feels different. It feels qualitatively different.
Yeah.
And the recognition factor is when you're feeling that kind of energy, it feels good. It feels like you could just do all kinds of things. Like you
Right.
have all kinds of energy to go do stuff because you're feeling good. Whereas when
Right.
you're feeling really depressed, you don't have energy to do anything. You can't even get off the couch.
So maybe it helps to put the scale to it, you know? I don't want to get off the couch. I'm at like a
Yeah,
one
right.
and a half. I want to go out and like take on the world and like preach to everybody this love that comes out of my heart. Well, I'm above a 10, you know,
Yep.
and anywhere in between. So maybe take the words away, put the number to it. And I like, even last week you said you didn't consider anything positive or negative. It's just energy. And that's right, because it is just energy. It's just,
hmm
it has a different feeling and a different vibration to it, a different frequency to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It seems different. I mean, it seems
Oh,
like we're talking about different things, but it's really all just the same thing. And
it's all just the same thing. Yeah.
as we become accustomed to that, then I think that for me is where it all starts to make sense. When I think about energy as all those things, like you said it very nicely. It's all energy. When I think about it that way and recognize that regardless of how I'm feeling, regardless of whether I feel up and down or down, regardless of whether I'm thinking about it in terms of spiritual energy, no matter what it is, if I just kind of group it all in this great big thing called energy, now it all starts to make sense. And I can't even tell you why, but it just does, because maybe because the concept is easier when it's all one thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Um,
I'm not really sure. Doesn't matter. But the point is that that's what works for me. And I think anybody has to figure out what's that's the reason I raised the question, what is energy? Anybody who's even considering energy and trying to understand how to get themselves energy and so forth has to come to some kind of conclusion that works for them. It
well,
almost doesn't even matter what it is. It just they have to come up with some sort of approach that feels right to them about, what is energy
right.
all about and how am I going to use it.
So very simply, if it doesn't feel good, it's not supporting you.
Yeah,
If
that's
it
a good
feels
rule.
good, it's supporting you.
Yeah, right.
So, like, I talk about taking responsibility and stop giving your power away, because a lot of times people will blame outer circumstances for why they feel so bad, or putting it's their fault. It's because of this happened, and that's why I'm like this.
hmm
But that is totally, totally giving your power, because you are an unlimited being who can manifest anything and do anything and accomplish anything. Why can some people do it and other people can't? It's just some people have mastered the energy that allows them to attract all that good to them, right? Some have it naturally and some have to work at it. But the way you know it is by how it feels, like we're talking about right now. So if there's some story you keep repeating about your life and it doesn't feel good, stop telling the story.
Yeah, right.
You just got to change the story and just make it up. Like, get back into that little kid mind who can make up anything. You don't have to tell other people. You just live this fantasy in your head, and you'll notice that as you start, just like that story I shared last week with my future appreciations, as you can attach yourself in any manner, nobody has to know you're doing it. Like, I don't care what anybody think about me anymore. I do all kinds of stuff. But really, if you feel like this is weird, this is crazy, but this girl says you can just imagine in your head and you'll start feeling, yes. So play with it. Get that imagination going. Decide how you'd rather have this story go. You could write it down on paper. You can make a recording of this story that you're living now, this beautiful life, and play it to yourself every day. Retrain that subconscious mind of yours with this new story. And every time you catch yourself starting to tell that old one, the thing is, you'll start catching yourself. So the more you catch yourself, the less you're going to tell that story, because you've made the conscious decision to go with what feels better, right?
Yeah, I mean, what we're all ultimately talking about here is reprogramming your mind and
Yeah.
Your general way of reacting and relating to the world and to what goes on in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Um, I know that. Well, we all know there are lots of different things that people propose for accomplishing just that, for kind of shifting your mindset shifting your attention and so forth. I mean, there's meditation, there's like vision boards, there's affirmations, there's gratitudes, there's like a litany of things you can do. You can exercise, you can have conversations with people that you're very close and friendly and positive with. You can listen to comedians. I mean, there's just like endless numbers of things you can do in order to get yourself into a better feeling place. So first thing I want to ask you is, do you have any favorites? Are there things that you do? Do you have like a daily routine or something to get yourself into that happy place? I mean, what's your approach?
Well, definitely I can always shift my vibration easily by meditating, because you just decide to even just following your breath. You don't have to do a full out meditation. Just feel your breath coming in and out and see how your body will relax with that. Because usually when you're holding a lower vibe, your breathing is more constricted. So if you can consciously just take in those nice deep breaths, it really will start the ball rolling. Even if you think you don't know how to meditate, you don't have to. You can put on a guided meditation and just somebody else take you into this story, and that releases it, right? You can always look at something that makes you feel good, like a movie or something like that, For me, so I like to, I work with light, because I do energy healing, and it's that energy, we'll call it light, of all that is the universe. I like to bring that in, so I can do a very mini meditation, not even an awake meditation in the shower. And so I'll just imagine that as that shower water. So say you wake up and you're like, oh man, another day, I got to go and do this, I got to go and do that, and you're going to take a shower. So get in the shower, and as that water's coming down and washing over your body, you can imagine that and even if you just close your eyes and let the water fall over you for like a minute, you just imagine that beautiful light and love of the universe is coming through that water. It's coming down and is washing over you. And so as it's washing over you, it's clearing out any of those lower energies and letting them go right down in the drain, down to Mother Earth, to be transformed into pure positive love once again, right? So it's like this. I go even further with this. There's a lot of pieces. Like sometimes I'll just have, and even if you don't know your chakras, just tell the light, the universe, clear my chakras as you go through my body, as this water's falling down my body, taking away all these lower energies, just balancing and harmonizing my entire energy system. And then as I have that lower energy go down the drain, I imagine, I guess I might as well go all out with this, right?
Sure, why not? You're on a roll.
I look at it like ribbons of light. So for me, it's like these ribbons of light that come. Although it's the water that's kind of washing over me, because I'm combining the energetic with something real that I can feel on my body, right?
Right.
So I look at it like these ribbons of light coming through, going all down my body, out through the bottoms of my feet, down through the drain, into the earth. But I imagine those ribbons of light as if. And sometimes I have them take on the colors of the chakras, and they go all the way down to the center of the earth. And I imagine that they're wrapping themselves around the core of the earth. And then I have that beautiful earth energy come up through those ribbons of light, up through the bottoms of my feet, going up. You can feel it right now, even as I say it, if you want to go along with the visualization, up through my legs, going up through my whole torso, up into my neck, my head, and then extending above my head, going all the way up to the spiritual sun that just sent down those beautiful rays of light from the heavens, right? So I'm having this heaven and earth energy clear my body and energize it at the same time. So I'm being held between the heaven energies and the earth energies, the universe energies, and, the ground, Gaia, Mother Earth. So, because a lot of people who may, a lot of people, when they get into all this spirituality and things like this, they want to live in those higher upper chakras because they think that's the place to be. But really, unless you're really grounded to this earth where we live, your energy can't go as high as you want it to go. So you need both.
We don't actually talk about chakras much on the program at all. I can't remember the last time we talked about it. So give people like an overview. Talk about what are chakras, why are they important, how do you use them?
Okay, so you have, your body is a whole energy system. So there are these centers, these energetic centers within your energy system. And just to make it really simple, And that's the only way I like to describe it, because why get complicated? I mean, I get messages from my guys all the time. There's no right way. Keep it simple. The root chakra is the one at the base of the spine that usually takes on the color of red. Now that chakra is all about feeling safe, secure, supported. Like that's your connection to the earth. It's also a manifesting center, right? Getting things done in the physical. You go up a little bit higher. There's an orange one called the sacral chakra. It's about 2 inches below the belly button. That chakra is all about relationships, sexuality, sensuality, but also creativity. Okay. And that's a center where you hold a lot of your junk, like your emotional problems, like, because a lot of it comes from, relationship kind of things, relationships to anything. It's just relationships, right?
I was going to say, what a surprise. Sex and getting confused about stuff. Who could possibly be surprised by that, right?
Yeah. So that's that one. Then you go up a little more to the solar plexus. Okay. That's like 2 inches above the belly button, 2 inches below the rib cage, like in that area, in that solar plexus area. That takes on the color yellow. That's the center of will. That's your getting things done. That's your ability to really, it's a huge manifesting center. It's how you're perceived in the world. So, it's a power source. You go up a little more, green or even pink is the heart chakra, all about love. Then you're going to go up into the throat chakra. Throat chakra takes on like a lighter blue color. It's all about communication, but in any form, not just the voice. It could be artistic. It's a very creative center. It could be writing. It could be any way of expressing your truth that's the throat chakra. Then you go up a little more, third eye. Takes on an indigo color. Sometimes people look at it like a purple color. And that's kind of like if you were to draw a line from ear to ear and from the center, kind of between your eyebrows and back, like where it crosses, like that's where the third eye is. Is that the pineal gland? I don't know if you know about the pineal gland,
right? Which
is actually a gland that can actually register light. So it sees, right? So that's the third eye there. And that's, intuition. That's connecting to the energies that are outside of you. And of course, then higher than that, crown chakra usually takes on a white or, a purpley color. And that really is that bridge, that opening to the higher energies. And they all work together. And sometimes some are either overworking or underworking. So you want to just kind of have that all balanced. And so that little I'm telling you, in the shower, you can do that for like 2 minutes. You just have a visual, or be as creative as you want, with this beautiful light washing through, clearing out all the junky energy, pulling in that powerful earth energy, setting you up for a beautiful day, and just holding yourself between these two energies, feeling like really refreshed and restored, energized, cleared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, like I said before, I think of just energy as energy. I know there are a lot of people who talk about chakras, and they divide the body up the way you just did, and it's a very important way for them to understand it. For somebody like me who just thinks in terms of like energy, why are chakras important? Why are they valuable to understand?
Well, because they make up your overall energy system, and there's way more than just the chakras I told you now. But I've never really studied them well enough to know. But you just have it just all comprises your energy field. So if you have something blocking in one area, it may cause problems in all areas. You want to just be in flow, right? Mm-hmm. And those colors can mean things. Like you can get signs. Like maybe we'll do a show another time on how to receive signs from your guides.
Sure.
And to interpret them and all. But colors have meanings too. And a lot of times those colors, those meanings are going to associate to, they're just going to associate to those chakras and to the areas in your life that those chakras represent. And so, you can energize yourself with the food you eat based on the colors of the food. The actual color. You can re-energize and clear some of those chakras just by lighting that takes on certain colors, because it's a frequency. Crystals. When I used to do Reiki, just Reiki before I started doing all the other stuff I do, I would put, a crystal of the particular color on the chakra, because that chakra then will entrain its frequency to the frequency of the crystal. And the nice thing about that is the crystal only holds the one frequency, whereas our bodies hold so many. So it's easy then for the body to entrain to that frequency of, say, that orange carnelian crystal that you put on your sacral chakra.
And when you say entrain, what does that mean? What does entrain mean?
It starts to become the frequency of the crystal. So it brings itself back into balance with its original frequency. Because the chakras have a certain frequency. So the crystals that have the colors, in most cases the colors that correspond with the chakra, are carrying that frequency, only it's pure, because it only holds that one frequency on the crystal. So that's why the crystal placed on the body, as you're giving Reiki, like channeling this healing energy from the universe, it enhances that energy in that area. So it balances the chakra.
Okay. Well, as somebody who's not really explored chakras very much, I probably have a very similar reaction to what others like me have, which is like, okay, I'm lost now. I'm not sure what to do with this. So I'll go right to the practical question. What do I do with all this?
Well, you could learn about let's see, if you're starting to open, I'm trying to go back to basics here.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Well, that's kind of what I'm pushing you to do, just so we can really, explore this thing.
Right. So what I said already was kind of basic, at least I thought it was. I can go a lot deeper into all of that.
I'm sure you can. That's what I'm doing. I'm finding out how deep we're going to go.
So the thing is, if anything I said about these words, put it this way, this is what I know about energy. You don't have to understand a thing about it. Your soul, your system, your energy system, if it knows this, because, you haven't lived just this one life, you lived many lives, and you know a lot of this experience, and you are actually able to tune in and tap into all the information that ever existed, like the Akashic Records. Okay, I'm getting really, really out there. Let me bring myself back. Hold on.
I love it. That's funny.
So my point is this. Even though these words may not make logical sense to you, on an energetic level, you could be soaking this in right now.
Okay.
Okay. And then maybe something happens in your experience in the next week, and you realize that your mood is dropped, and it's because of some relationship thing. And then you notice that a lot of things orange are popping up in your life. And you're like, well, that's really weird. Because that girl said that orange is associated to that sacral chakra, which is the one about relationships. And I'm having this relationship. There's no coincidences. So you can do a little research if this is intriguing you. And maybe you're like, I'm always stuck in not being able to express myself. Maybe I should check out what that blue chakra is all about, that throat chakra, and see how a little bit of that knowledge could help me in my life. And you might start finding answers and opening up for yourself. So I don't know if this is helping in any way.
Well, it's raising a question in my mind, because we talked earlier about how so many people, when their energy is low and they aren't really good at rejuvenating themselves, they'll try to steal energy, they'll engage in dramas, all this kind of stuff. But as you pointed out, for the most part, they're just people who are looking outside themselves for information and for energy and for a solution to this problem of I just feel so drained. Yeah. And so in that context, I'm thinking about what we're talking about here. And you said, well, you can go look up what all these colors are. Isn't that looking outside of yourself? Isn't that looking to some other authority to find out what all this stuff means?
Well, there's a reason we have knowledge in the world, right? So if it's something you've never heard of before, and it could actually support you to find your own way, you're still finding your own answer. This is looking outside to some information that could possibly help you, so you're not blaming your mom anymore. Okay. So you're not blaming your teacher anymore, right? So you realize, I have something that's out of balance within my energy system. I didn't realize that could happen. So let me see, how can I balance my energy system, especially in the area of relationships? So you can find all kinds of information on how to do that just based on that alone.
So really then the value here is not so much knowing where to go find the information, but recognizing that whatever information you dig up, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to incorporate it into your own thinking, your own being, your own experience. In other words, you're trying to internalize it in a way that works for you, not necessarily what was written in a book, but what actually works with you.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd never find out any information. You want to be a mechanic, but you don't know the first thing about it. You got to look at some books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You want to tune up your car, but I don't know how to tune up a car. Well, you got to get some information on how to do it. So you want to tune up your energy system. There's tons of information out there on how to do that. Okay, this is just totally like pure energy we're talking about now. But it's all related, once again, to the thoughts and the things that we're doing. So like dumping the drama and not getting caught up on that, that's huge right there. Because, and not blaming other people for why you got fired just because that girl's not holding her weight, or, whatever the story is, it all comes from within. So, there could be imbalances within your own energy system and tons of experience, these programs that run in your subconscious mind that you can clear out. Okay, so that's going within. That's doing the work. Maybe you have to go to someone like me outside of you, but to help you find out what's going on inside of you so that you can clear it and own it and enhance it for yourself, right?
Right.
And like another big thing about that drama stuff and giving your power out is the thing about allowing, right? We got to allow other people to live their stories. It's their story. It's not yours. So you don't have to be affected by their story, especially once you realize, you know what? Maybe they're getting sucked into that way of being, but I don't want to go there. I choose to go this place.
Yeah, we automatically assume so easily that other people have it all figured out and that we're the ones who don't, but that's so rarely true. Ugh.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, are we still connected? I think I lost you.
No, we're here.
Oh, okay, good.
The reason she's saying that is she's having storms there, so she's not really sure if she's going to be here with us throughout the broadcast. But I promise you, Linda, if you disappear, I'll be the first to know.
Okay, all right, good. I thought I heard like a flat, like a totally cut thing,
It's just energy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So where are we with this? We're talking about managing your own energy. So practicing allowing, and don't get caught up in judgment, right? Because judgment's a very heavy energy.
And judgment, when that word gets used by most people in a spiritual context, it has a very definite meaning to it. It is, I mean, if you look at the root of the word judgment, the root of it is to discern. But judgment, as we're using it here, has a pejorative side to it. It has a blame side to it.
Yeah. If you can use it in the positive light, yeah, great. But we're talking about getting stuck into other people's stories, blaming people outside of you for your problems, judging how they live their life. Well, there's a purpose to all things in life. Even the stuff that we don't agree with, it's serving a purpose. And we don't have to know what that purpose is or why that person chose to come here in this life and live that way.
It's usually good to let go of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because when we get hung up on it, that's when we tend to lose track of where we're going with ourselves. We're so wound up with what that person is doing that we forget what we're doing. We kind of like omit the most important part of the journey. That's our part.
Yeah. And, and even like with my whole career of developing into doing the healing work I do along with the coaching, I look back and I've done videos on this and I remember thinking, always looking like outside of myself to what is that healer doing? What is that one doing? Or maybe I should do what they're doing. But that's given my power away. Really, I had to stop looking out there because everything I needed was within me.
Right. Yeah.
But it depends on how you're looking at it, right? So sometimes you're looking at, wow, I really love that modality they're doing. And it triggers something within you. Next thing you know, you're enrolled in a course. That's a little bit different because you're like, it's a high energy. Like, wow, I really admire that. Not like, oh my God, they're better than me. Oh boy, I better learn this. You know what I mean?
Well, you're touching on a very important point here because talking about the Facebook groups and people who are talking about this stuff in law of attraction groups, I see it a lot. I'll see somebody who says, I've been using the 5 by 55 method now for the prescribed number of days, and nothing's happening. Does this stuff really work, or something along that line? And the first thing I'll have to do is find out is, okay, let's see, what's the 5 by 55 modality? And once I figure that what that one out is, okay, all right. So now I know what we're talking about.
All right, because I have no clue, never heard of it.
Oh, it's a writing exercise. You write.
Okay.
You basically write an affirmation 55 times for 5 days, or 5 times for 55 days, or something along that line. Yeah. It's basically it's a way of it's
reprogramming. 100 days till it kicks in.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's reprogramming is what it really is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard what Cindy Chavez has been doing. She has periodically experimented with doing 1,000 affirmations of the same affirmation a day for 10 days to see what happens. And probably the most fun part about that is talking with her, trying to figure out how does she get 1,000 in a day.
Well, does she record it and have it on a loop and she could listen to it?
No, actually, she doesn't. She takes the idea of like what Catholics have with their rosary beads, except she lives near New Orleans. She lives in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So she used Mardi Gras beads, and she counts that there are 75 Mardi Gras beads on one of the little bead strings. So she uses that as her counter to figure out how many times she's done it. And she'll do like groups of 75 throughout the day until she reaches her goal.
Yeah. Well, that totally works. Because I've done it with mala beads. You've heard of mala beads?
I have not, no.
And what is the number? Right now I'm drawing a blank on how many beads are on a mala.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can get it here. Anyway, it's the same thing. Like there's so many beads within, and the number of beads have a significance to the energy, right? So I won't explain in detail a situation, a problem that came up within my family where I developed a mantra, a statement to support this person who was having this problem. And we got everyone in the family, and we're all over the country. But at the same time, whether you're Eastern, Central, or Pacific time, we got on at the same time saying this mantra for all of these beads, 108 times.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. The thing that we said, the statement we said, has come true. And this was not an easy thing. This was like a miracle kind of statement. I can't go into detail because it's not my story to tell.
Yeah, sure.
But it was a pretty severe situation, which is now totally changed around.
That's
and
nice.
I know it's because we had that focused attention and that group energy. There's a lot to do with group energy. It's huge and it expands.
Well, you said how many people were involved in this?
Well, maybe 10, not even a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And it made a huge impact. So yeah, that totally works. The thing with looking at it and saying that person did it for 55 days, whatever, and didn't work, it's because they're looking at it not working. I mean, I got a story about that too, but I don't know if we want to. My first real test of law of attraction. I don't think.
Let's do it. I mean, it's like it's like one of our listeners. I have had the opportunity to meet a few of our listeners, and one of them, my wife and I met with him. Really nice guy named David, and I'm talking to him and saying, I don't know if I've ever told anyone this. He says, "Well, you do realize I've been listening to your episodes now, your podcast for a year and a half. I know everything about you." So trust me, Linda, there are no secrets.
Well, had he heard it before? The one what you were going to say?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we only have one show, so I know I didn't share this.
Yeah, but you lose count after a while. That's the worst part.
Yeah, you don't know. Like, especially when I talk to my client, I'm like, did I teach you this yet?
That's right. Right. Yep.
Yeah. So when I first, stumbled upon, Abraham many years ago, and I think maybe sometime they were talking about how, like a little test to the universe. So I did my test. Ask for something that you don't have a lot of resistance around, and let it come. It's easy, right? Just do it. So I'm like, okay. So I thought to myself, maybe I'll pick a bird. I'll ask for a certain bird to come, and I'm like, I'll pick a robin. I'm like, I can't pick a robin. Robins are everywhere. And then I realized, well, I never see cardinals and blue jays in my yard, and I would like to actually physically see them in my yard.
Okay.
So and I couldn't choose between one, so I chose both. Okay, universe, show me the Cardinals and the Blue Jays. And so I put it out, and I was waiting for it to come, and so it didn't come quick enough. So I started hunting. I'm telling you, I was hunting for these birds. I had my eyes in the trees more than I had my eyes on the road when I was driving.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking on every branch, behind every bush, on every lawn for these everywhere I went, because I wanted to prove to myself that I do have power of thought and I can do this. And I'm just not seeing it, and I'm getting frustrated. And in the meantime, I'm still listening and learning, right? And I'm realizing, oh, okay, hold on. I'm getting more of what I'm putting out there. I'm not seeing the bird. 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 I can't see this bird. I mean, that's the energy I was putting out, right?
And you were right.
How could I possibly see the bird? And then I'm like, okay. So I would like kind of back off. And then if it didn't happen like in a day,
yeah, right.
I'd start hunting again, right? But this was a great lesson because this really taught it to me, big time. So then after a while, I'm like, oh, screw it. I either have the power, I don't have the power. I don't even care anymore. And I just stopped trying.
You gave up. Yeah.
I gave it up, totally gave it up. And the next thing you know, I have a dream, the most vivid, real dream I've ever had, of this cardinal that was behind these bushes. And it even let me stand right next to it behind the bushes.
Nice.
So this is my dream. I'm with the cardinal in my dream. But the energy I felt was like a joy I don't think I've ever experienced before.
Nice.
Even now, this energy, I can't even put words to it, that I got in that dream. And so I was content. I was like, oh my God, that was the best dream in the world. I got a cardinal. Came in my dream.
Yeah.
I got it. Oh, actually, you know what? I jumped ahead. When I gave it up, I started seeing Blue Jays. All right. But I wasn't still seeing the cardinal. Then I started searching again.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of proved it, but then I disproved it because now I can't see this cardinal. Then this cardinal came to me in the dream. And I'm like, oh my God. All right, I got it. I can do this. I got the Blue Jay. Now I got the cardinal. I don't care if it was in a dream, but at least I got it. Next thing you know, the next day, outside my window, cardinal.
That's nice.
So, and they started showing up everywhere. And now they're showing up a lot. But for a while, they would only show up when I needed confirmation on something.
Oh, so that became like a regular signal to you of a confirmation.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that's the kind of sign I can handle, because now I know what it means. And so, if that were me, it's like, okay, if I see a cardinal, I got a confirmation. Good. There's a yes. I know where my yes is. That's good.
Right. Well, that's important. When you ask those questions, you have to have it has to be a different yes or no question. Some people want to ask tricky questions. I could have a maybe. You have to have a yes or no question. But I've asked to have a cardinal feather, like for something I was working on. I'm like, okay, if this is for my highest and best good, and then show me a cardinal feather. And it didn't come right away, but it came, and that's not easy because I've only gotten 2 in probably 8 years.
Did you read Cindy's story in our book?
I'm not sure. I've skipped around between them. Which was it?
She's the one who said, "I'll have an owl, please."
Oh, I saw that. I didn't read it, but it intrigued me.
It's a great story.
Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but I think I will anyway.
All right, I'll read it anyway. I'll get the full story later.
I'm sure you know the book E Squared by Pam Grout.
I'm not sure.
No? Oh, wow. I'm surprised. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pam Grout wrote 2 books, E Squared and E Cubed. I think there are others too, but those are the 2 I know about. And they're basically a set of experiments you can do to prove to yourself whether or not the law of attraction really works.
Ah.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
And one of the very first experiments was an experiment where she was just asked, where the reader is just asked to, okay, pick something that you want to have show up in 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is. I forget what the time frame is. And then she actually provides like lab sheets in the book. So fill in, okay, this is the date, this is the time, this is what it is I'm attracting, this is when I'm expecting it, all this kind of stuff. So you actually lay it out like you're doing a lab experiment. And she decided, well, I'm going to ask for an owl. Now, Cindy lives in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like I said earlier, and she lives in the middle of the city, and it's a pretty good sized city. There are no owls in Baton Rouge, so she was hoping like maybe something would come, like a picture of an owl on a postcard or something like that. That'd be about the best she could really do, right? Because she knew the reality. She lived in the middle of a city. There are no owls in the city.
Uh-huh.
So, but she was okay with that. That was all right. Yeah. She was willing to go with that. So she puts it out there, and I don't remember what the time frame was. I think it was like 24 hours later. She was working in her office, and there's a window right near where her desk is, and the window was the blind was up, and she could see outside the window. And I don't remember exactly what the circumstance was, but for some reason she looked up, and as she looked up, a full owl flew right up, right next to the window, flying straight up to the roof of the house.
Wow!
Fully extended wings and everything.
Wow! So cool.
I mean, how about that for manifestation? It just blew her mind.
So cool. So cool. Those are the best kinds.
Yeah. So I hope I didn't spoil it, but I love that story.
No, I'll read it anyway. It reminds me a little bit after Jerry passed. You heard Abraham talking about when what was it? Some kind of bird hovering outside the window. Well, I don't remember the whole story, and I'll blow it for sure. But there was something like that where Jerry came as this bird in a way that would be so not possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I've had a story like that. I did have one instance. My dad passed in March 2008. He passed from Parkinson's, or symptoms related to Parkinson's. And when he passed, it was actually a relief because it had been pretty miserable the last bit of his life there. So, we were all pretty glad when it happened. And then we also had some really neat confirmations that happened afterward. My sister got some messages that confirmed for us he was great, he was fine, everything was wonderful. But I missed him, Interestingly enough, I'd done all my grieving before he died. So that was weird. It felt backwards. But nevertheless, I'd gotten past that part. But, I just still missed him. And there was a time there where I kind of wish I could talk to him again. Yeah. Well, shortly after that, I had a dream where I was able to talk to him and actually hold him and hug him and so forth. It was really, really quite powerful. It was a nice thing.
That was him, Walt. I'm telling you.
I believe it was. Well, later that summer, this was when we lived in Virginia, and we lived on a 1 acre, and it was the only time I've ever had a riding mower, which for many guys, that's like a really great thing. For me, it was drudgery. I hate mowing the lawn. But nevertheless, I had this riding mower, so it made it faster to do the lawn. And this one day I went out to do the lawn, and I'm mowing along, and all of a sudden I look over by the house, part of the lawn I'd already done, and sitting on a flagstone, the kind that you walk up on a path, that kind of thing, right next to the steps was a mourning dove sitting there watching me. Now, bear in mind, I'm sitting on a riding mower. Those things are loud.
Yes.
They're loud, they're noisy, they're raucous. And I was about 10 feet away from this bird, and the bird was just sitting there and looking at me.
Yep.
And I was saying, what on earth? I've never heard of an animal, first of all, being willing to be that close to a riding mower in all its roaring glory. And second of all, a mourning dove just kind of standing there looking at me. I'm thinking, what is that all about? And it took me, and I just sat with that for a bit. I didn't know what to make of it. Why would a mourning dove do that? And then it finally came to me, well, mowing is something I associate with my dad.
Yeah.
There was a big association there for me, and I thought to myself, I wonder if that's my dad just checking me out.
Oh, yeah. I have huge goosebumps right now. Always
do you really?
A sign that, that's it. That was your dad. That was your dad in that dream, too, because they'll come in dreams. Mm-hmm. Especially the vivid dreams.
It was very vivid. Most times for me, a dream, I don't have any sense of touch in a dream. And I actually have very little vision in a dream, believe it or not. My dreams are very fuzzy and not bright colors most of the time. Most of the time it's just very muted. My experience is usually emotional and sound, because sound is my auditory is my best of the five senses. So having touch in a dream is really unusual, and I had touch in a big way there. I mean, I could actually physically feel his body, and that was just unbelievable.
Because he was actually really there.
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's a part of me that says, "Yeah, right," and the other part of me says, "Yeah, I know."
Oh, you know because you felt
I
it. You
felt it. Yeah.
That's right. You can't logic that away.
No, no. I tried to sometimes, but that one was too real, and I think it was also very meaningful. So I really didn't want to. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he was there. Oh, for sure. My sister passed away in October of last year. And I have a video about the signs that she was sending in the many different ways. Because I worked with her while she was um, going through her whole cancer experience
Mm.
and opened her up to all this thing about receiving signs and all this kind of stuff that she went to town after she passed. I'm telling you, it's like it blew me away. I still have people sending me photos on Facebook about ladybugs coming to them and at pertinent times when it makes sense that it's her. But lots of different things. But that's another long conversation.
That's good though. That's neat though that happens. I mean, I mentioned that my sister got a message from my dad shortly after he passed that reassured us that he was fine. I've told that story before on the podcast, but I'll tell you again because it's fun for me. I like it. It was about 4 or 5 days after he passed. My mom and my sister were in church together, and when they were in there, my sister, during the sermon or whatever, my sister started getting this massive headache. And she has taken a lot of classes in, how to develop your psychic abilities and, various spirituality modalities and so forth. And she had learned that a headache can very often be somebody trying to contact you. And so she instantly tuned into that and immediately thought of my dad and said, "Dad, is that you?" Yeah. And instantly got a thought back, yes, it was. And my sister, God bless her, the very first thought that came to her at that point was, what's it like on the other side? And the answer that came back was festive. And when she told me that story and she mentioned the word festive, that's when I knew it was a true story. You know why? It's because festive is what I call a dad word. My sister, I think it's the first time in her life she ever used the word festive. She would describe things as fascinating and fabulous and amazing and incredible and unbelievable. Festive would never be one of her words, but it was definitely one of the words my dad would use. He would be the kind of person who would say, "On this festive occasion." He would actually say that.
Well, and I'm sure he purposely put that word in there so you would know. They'll make sure you know.
I believe it, yeah. So it was really wild because a few days later, we all gathered together for the memorial service, and we're meeting in the church where they used to attend church. You have to also understand, I'm not a churchgoer. I haven't been for many, many years. My brother was not, although with his wife Yona now, they do go to kind of an alternative church. My sister was sort of so on that. She did more like spiritual church, the Church of Two Worlds kind of thing. My mom and my dad were the churchgoers. And Louise and I really aren't at all. Well, we're all there, and we're in, I can't think what they call it, but there's like a special meeting room right near their sanctuary, and we're meeting with their minister, and we're all having this conversation in this room leading up to the memorial service. And it didn't occur to me what this was all about. I mean, I knew we had the memorial service coming up, but I didn't know why we were all meeting and talking. We were just kind of chatting about stuff. And then it finally dawned on me, the minister's there to console us.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me because we were all feeling so great. We literally were feeling so good. It just wasn't even an issue. And so when it came time for the service and he gets to the point where he starts talking about my dad, he says, "Boy, Walt and Marvon did a great job with their kids. This is a family that has the greatest amount of faith I've ever seen." And I'm just sitting there laughing because none of us are churchgoers.
Yeah, but you were totally lined up with his past.
Oh, totally. Yeah, completely and totally. Yeah. So just goes to prove you don't have to be a churchgoer anymore.
No. I could share a story on another show about stuff like that with, how you start holding this higher energy, it's contagious. And people around you who may have been closed-minded in a certain way will open up without even knowing because, their soul is like, yeah, get some more of that. You need this.
Well,
anyway.
let's make that the topic for next week then. I think it's a good one.
Okay.
Before we go, I do want to remind people, most of our people who listen are loyal listeners. They're subscribers. They catch every single one of the 45 episodes we do every month. But many of the people who tune in are doing it for the first time. And if you're tuning in, and this happens to be the episode that is your first one to listen to, and you like what you're hearing, please consider becoming a subscriber. It's free. It takes about a minute, and all you have to do is go to the homepage of our website at loatoday.net. All the instructions are right there on how to do it. So, just take the time to do it. You're going to love it. It's going to pay off in so many ways in your life. And how good is it to have like positive entertainment coming to your radio every day or to your smartphone? It's the best way to go.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, Linda, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. And we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.